I'm GERI.
I'm Shawn, and this is our not currently sailing catamaran, Rome. We've taken on a huge refit involving every system on the boat, turning her into exactly what we want.
Let's jump back into the episode to see what project we're tackling this time.
Welcome to the battery compartment, or at least what's going to be the battery compartment. We've sealed up all of the holes and caulked all around the mast steps so that it shouldn't leak anymore, and we've had lots of rain and it's dry. So I'm going to go along with it's actually a dry space now, which is what it's supposed to be. So that's good.
My favorite thing, drilling holes in the boat. So we had a little rainstorm inside the battery compartment on this boat. And the whole time we've had water getting in there, but it wasn't very much. There are two holes where the mast step is that go all the way through to the battery compartment. I'm going to drill them out, but I've got to get it cleaned out and then figure out what we're going to do for an epoxy patch or something else to fill the holes back in, and then we will probably re-drill them before we put the mast down. But this way we can at least get the water to stop coming in the boat here and get ready to start putting batteries in at some point.
In order to get this ready, we have to sand down the floor all the way to barrier coat because we need to do some fairing. It's not flat, and with batteries going in there, especially the batteries we have that are the individual cells rather than like a giant battery, it needs to be flat. Today I'm sanding it down so that we can move forward with this project. So I think this whole space is about, maybe 8 feet long. Could be worse. Let's see how far I get today. I'm getting a little claustrophobic. And I'm not claustrophobic, so it's all the stuff. It's the cans on top of the headlight, on top of the dust mask, on top of the eye protection. And when you put it all together, I just feel a little trapped. Like I am in this little space right now. Let me see if I can reposition. Oof, there we go. Oh, that was better. Okay. The bottom of this space is so uneven that I can't get my 6-inch sanding disc won't sit flat. It's like got little air gaps and stuff, so I can't seem to get into those places well enough to take off however many layers of paint are in here. And honestly, it feels like there's like 20 layers or so. I know that's not true, but that's how it feels, just based on how it's coming up. And I'm using a super aggressive sander and 24 grit paper, so really, really aggressive stuff. This should be, in my brain anyway, this should be coming up just like that. And it's not. At this rate, I swear we're going to be here for another year, and I can't do that. There's no way. There's just no way. I'm pretty over it. Yeah. Well, I'm not really sure what to do next, but I think I'm just gonna take a break. Try to improve my attitude a little. Wish me luck.
Okay, so by the time I got out of the hole yesterday, my attitude was absolute garbage. I felt like we'd made absolutely no progress. I was ready to hang it up and figure out some other way. Turns out I looked it up in my some other way. It was not real. It would not work. So Shawn and I decided that we would tag team it today, take frequent breaks so that we didn't, lose our minds and destroy our bodies. And today I got to show you the progress that Shawn's made this morning. He started using a different technique. I'm not sure I can do the same thing. It's such a powerful sander that I don't have the strength to manipulate it. yeah. This is the side on starboard and coming across all the way to the end of the compartment on port. Fantastic.
We are doing some fiberglass repair. And so we've been working in the place where we're going to install the batteries, and there are a couple things in that space that need some work. And so I'm getting the fiberglass gear out to start prepping for repairs down there. What we have is an area where I was cutting out the wood supports that were in here, and I got too deep with a fence saw and cut into the glass and foam core. And I've sanded back a ways and created a space where I can do the repair. So with any fiberglass project, you know, typically the first thing you're going to do is cut out the glass that you're going to use to get the right size and shape before you ever start mixing up any resin. And I'll cut it a little bit long, knowing that I'm going to trim this down a couple times to get the shape the way I want it to fit into this spot here.
Go.
So I can work from that piece and then make a bunch more pieces just a little bit bigger. I don't think I need to do that down here. I'll take this out where I can stand up straight and not fold myself in half, and hopefully be able to wrap this up pretty quick. All right, so I think this is a good stack of glass, and I can work with this. So now it's time to mix up some resin. I'm using West System epoxy resin for this project. It's a really solid resin. I've used it a bunch in the past. It works really well. 1 pump of resin and 1 pump of hardener is the ratio. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, well, now that I'm down in the hole, I'm wearing a little more PPE. I've got my blue gloves on, 2x2 hands of blue. If you know, you know. If you don't, you should watch Firefly.
2x2 hands blue.
And I've got a respirator on because I'm in a small enclosed space where the fumes can't dissipate, which is why I sound amazing. All right, so we're going to start out by just getting a little bit of resin down here where we want it. And I start with the smallest piece. My goal is for each layer to cover a little more. I think that's good. I'm in one of the big front deck lockers, and we are plugging a hole between the locker and the battery compartment. This is a space where we shouldn't get water, but we sometimes do because deck lockers don't always stay watertight. The hole is down at the bottom of the locker, so if we get any amount of water in here, of course, it's going to go right into the battery compartment. So Jerry's got a piece of foam on the other side, and I'm going to trace it and then cut it out a little bit small so I can actually get it to fit in there. And we'll add a bunch of epoxy and glue it in, and then we'll do some fiberglass work. All right, how bad is it? All right, I'll trim a little off the top. Give it to Bart Simpson. That is a fit I can live with right there.
Okay, let's get this thing cleaned up. Can you explain why we are doing this fiberglass repair the way we are rather than what we always see on YouTube, which is just, lots of fiberglass layers?
Yeah, I can. So the way this boat was built, it was not done with one of the new injection processes where they have a million tubes and they are trying to use just exactly the right amount of resin. Instead, it was using a little bit older process called vacuum bagging, where they put the fiberglass in place, they put the amount of resin on that it needs, and then they use a vacuum bag around the parts that they're working on to compress it under a vacuum and suck out any extra resin while completely saturating the glass mat. The big problem that you run into when doing any fiberglass work is ending up with glass that isn't wet. If you have glass that isn't wet, it has no strength, it's just wasting space. And so we're doing it this way to make sure that our repair is thoroughly saturated with exactly how much resin it needs, but no more than that, to keep the weight down as much as possible. And yes, this is a tiny little repair. It isn't going to have that much resin. It couldn't have that much weight at the end of the day, but we also end up with a higher strength factor doing it this way. And we're being consistent with how the boat was built. Well, we took longer than we expected to get to this point. It's not quite dark outside, but on its way. But we're finishing. We are going to mix the resin. I've got 10 pumps of resin in here. I need to get the catalyst in. We'll mix it up. Then we'll soak our glass, get it in place, and do the vacuum, and turn the heat on. We ought to be good to go.
And we have to be quick about this, because how much time do we have? Would you say 9 to 12 minutes?
9 to 12 minutes at 77 degrees, which it isn't. So I probably have 20, 25 minutes of pot life.
Oh, that long?
So it'll be fine. Yeah.
I'm a little happier about that.
It'll work out just fine. So next. All right, using the 205 hardener, the fast stuff. 1, 2, 3, There's my 10.
Stir, stir, stir.
And now I stir, stir, stir. This is certainly more resin than I need, but I'm making it easy on myself to make sure I can get these good and wet quickly and not fight to get the resin in them.
Can you explain why we're impregnating all the pieces rather than doing everything kind of layer by layer?
If you do multiple batches of resin, which you could do, then each one is going to build on top and they're going to have different kick times. And so the first layer will go off and start to get hot, then the second layer will go off and get hotter, and each one that successively goes off gets hotter and hotter and hotter. In this weather with this catalyst, we probably wouldn't risk a fire, but it could get too hot and end up damaging the strength of the resin. And so we could end up with resin that is either brittle or gummy and not have the strength that it needs. So doing one batch with one resin pot means that we're going to have the one pot life, one kick cycle, and that'll give us a stronger, more cohesive layup. That's nice. what I was looking for. We have fixed the fiberglass pieces that need to be fixed. We are ready to start fairing and smoothing. I'll be mixing up some fairing compound to start fairing out the surfaces in there to make them smooth and flat so the batteries have a very flat surface to sit on. We have hit a really good turning point. We are ready to test fit batteries into the battery compartment. Now we're doing this before we put primer and paint in to make sure that the surface is what we need for all these batteries to sit in there all right. So we're gonna see how they fit and go from there.
I don't think I could be any more excited. I feel like I've been waiting for this day for months, which I kind of have. I'm ready to do some painting. Yay! We've mixed up the paint and I'm gonna dive in the hole and paint the battery compartment. I'm going to put on my things so that I don't shorten my lifespan with toxins. And I'm also gonna put on a bunny suit. I really don't want to accidentally primer my clothes. So, bunny suit it is. All right, diving in. Happy Saturday. Today my goal is to get some paint into the battery compartment. It's actually the second coat. I put the first coat in last weekend, but to be perfectly honest, my attitude was absolute garbage and I didn't feel like it was fair to subject you to that. So I turned off the camera and just gritted my teeth, put some tunes in my ears, and got the job done. But today, the sun is out, it's a little bit warmer, and that always improves my attitude. For those of you who tend to have seasonal affective disorder or SAD, you will understand that winter is tough and we really, really relish any of the days that are a little bit warmer and a little bit brighter. It just makes life better. I'm going to sand down my first coat. It's really just a light scuff with a sanding sponge. Wipe it out with a damp cloth, and then I'm going to mix up some paint and move on to the second coat. And I'm sincerely hopeful that this will only need 2 coats. It may need 3, but you know, let's cross our fingers for 2 because that would just be better. Oh, I'm stuck. I could have done that entry a little better. I definitely could have done that entry a little better. Oh well. All right. Time to sand. Okay, for this I'm just using little sanding blocks. Very light. All I have to do is essentially give a light scuff on the surface. Super easy. That's all it needs. Ow. Damn it. So you can see this space is just wide enough for my head to fit. Without coming all the way into this little tight space, my arms are not long enough to reach to the far wall in front of me. I don't think I'm going to be going caving anytime in the near future. This is freaking me out. I seem to have lost my microphone inside my suit. I hope it's okay. So I found my microphone. Turns out when I went to go change into shorts and a t-shirt and put on the Tyvek, I forgot to move my microphone from my other shirt. So I actually have no idea if any of the audio from the time that I was, I don't know, painting is any good. And if it's not, I will go ahead and apologize in advance. It's only Saturday, so we'll be back tomorrow. It should be dry, and we'll come up with a final determination whether or not we need one more coat or if we're done. So I'll see you tomorrow. Sunday morning, we're back. There's good news and bad news. Well, maybe there's just, actually, I'm not sure there's good news and bad news. Definitely need a third coat. Not super excited about that. But the worst bad news in my book is that I am old and unfit. We are, of course, doing this refit as weekend warriors since, Shawn works all week long in a normal job. And what that means is that, of course, come Saturday, we push ourselves and work all the hours and aggravate all of the muscles, and everything hurts. It is a stark reminder of how unfit I am at this point in my life, and it does not make me happy. I'd be lying if I didn't admit to absolutely dreading going back in this hole. All right, no option here. Get it done. I believe that's done. Like, thoroughly done. I'm not gonna say we're gonna wait until tomorrow when it dries to see if there's another coat. It's just done. And the reason I say that is I already opted out of painting the top really high stuff for a third time because nobody will ever see that space, ever. It's impossible to see. And this compartment is going to get filled up with batteries. So honestly, I'm done. This thing is done. Wow, I'm not sure what Shawn's doing. That sounds louder than sanding to me, but I hope it's good. Whatever it is, I hope he's doing something great. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. It's completely free to subscribe, and it helps YouTube decide to push our videos out to a wider audience. And that helps us grow. So yay, I'm calling it quits. We'll see you next time. Bye.